There are moments in life that split our existence into before and after. I'm not here to entertain or impress you. I'm here to tell you what happened to me. What I experienced wasn't a dream, nor a delusion, but a confrontation with the unseen. I was a trained nurse, rational and grounded. But that morning changed everything. My name is Elizabeth, and what I'm about to share might disrupt everything you thought you knew about life, death, and the world in between. If you've ever wondered whether angels are real, whether heaven exists, or if your prayers matter, this story is for you. Stay with me. You need to hear this. It started like any other morning, July 15th, 2024. The sun crept softly through my bedroom window, bathing the walls in golden light. The quiet was comforting, almost sacred. I remember how safe I felt in that stillness. I had been a critical care nurse for over 20 years, trained to stay calm in chaos, to navigate emergencies with precision. But that day felt unusually serene. As I drank my coffee and grabbed my bag, I felt a strange sense of pause in the world, as if time had briefly exhaled. I took the same route I always did to the hospital. I could have driven it blindfolded, but nothing could have prepared me for what was coming. I glanced at the dashboard clock, 5:47 a.m. I was calculating whether I'd beat the traffic lights to make my shift. Just then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw the impossible. A truck speeding through a red light, barreling straight toward me. I had no time to react. The impact crushed the driver's side like paper. There was metal screaming, glass exploding, a violent silence that swallowed everything. And then, the pain. A stabbing, paralyzing weight crushed my chest, and I could barely think through it. But stranger than the pain was what came next. A deep stillness, a slowness, as though the world had stopped spinning. Then came the out-of-body sensation. I wasn't just injured, I was somewhere else. I could see myself from above, twisted in the wreck, blood trailing from my lips. Paramedics worked frantically, shouting commands, but it all felt distant. I hovered above it all, not with fear, but with detachment. There was peace in the disconnection. I watched them place paddles on my chest, my body convulsing under the jolt of electricity. But I wasn't there anymore. I was floating, watching, waiting. And then, everything went white. This white wasn't the absence of color. It was the presence of something bigger. It wrapped around me, cradled me. There was no sound, no pain, just a stillness that felt more alive than anything I'd ever known. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't lost. I was known. I felt it. Every part of me, seen and understood. And then something deeper stirred. A pull, a beckoning, as if I was being summoned forward. I didn't walk, but I moved. And that's when the visions began. That's when I saw what waits for us beyond this life. Let me be clear. I am not exaggerating. This isn't metaphor. I know trauma. I know hallucination. This was not that. What I saw defied all the medical training, all the psychological theory I'd absorbed. I wasn't dreaming, I was being shown. And I believe with all my heart that you're hearing this now for a reason. This testimony isn't for everyone, but it is for someone. Maybe it's you. Maybe you've been begging for a sign, or for proof that your life has meaning beyond the grind. Don't ignore that tug in your spirit. Listen closely. In the stillness of that realm, I became aware that I wasn't alone. Something was near, watching, guiding, waiting. And as I drifted further from the wreckage of my earthly body, I began to understand. I had crossed a threshold. I was between life and death, but not in darkness. I was enveloped in light. My earthly senses were gone, but my soul had never been more alert. That realm wasn't empty. It was filled. And soon, I would come face to face with the beings who dwell there. The ones we've read about, sung about, maybe even prayed to. But this was no longer theory. This was encounter. You're going to hear things in this story that challenge your worldview. You might even feel the urge to shut it down, dismiss it as fantasy. That's okay. I understand. I did too, before it happened to me. But I ask you, not as a preacher, not as a guru, but as a fellow human. Stay. Let your questions come. Let your walls shake. Because what I found on the other side of that crash shattered my skepticism and rebuilt me with truth. And if it did that for me, it can do that for you too. This is just the beginning. And now that you've started, don't turn back. As I moved deeper into that place, I became aware of something impossible to describe with human language. It wasn't just light. I was inside the light, and the light was inside of me. It pulsed like a living heart, and with each pulse I felt waves of something I can only call love. But even that word feels too small. It wasn't love like we know it here. Not conditional, not emotional. It was origin. It was the force behind everything that ever existed. I felt known down to the marrow of my soul. There was no hiding, nothing to perform. I wasn't being judged. I was being held. It was then that I realized I had stepped out of time. This place didn't follow seconds or hours. It was eternal, but it wasn't distant. It was right here, only invisible in the life I had left behind. Then they appeared. At first I didn't see them with eyes. I felt them, as if their presence resonated like a tuning fork against my spirit. Shapes began to form out of the light. Not humanoid, not terrifying. They were wheels, vast, spinning, alive, covered in eyes, turning within each other like gears in a machine too holy for this world. And yet, they felt familiar, as though some forgotten part of me recognized them. These were the Ophanim. I knew their name without being told. They didn't speak, but they communicated. Not with thoughts, but with truths that bypassed the mind and landed straight in the soul. They saw everything, past, future, every possibility between. They were not passive. They were active, moving in rhythm, precise and coordinated. I stood before them, though stood isn't the right word. I existed before them. I was not afraid, but I was overwhelmed. Their presence did not shrink me. It expanded me. Every rotation of their form sent out frequencies, and those frequencies delivered understanding. It's hard to explain how you can know something so deeply without ever learning it. They taught me, without words, that time is not linear, that prayers do not disappear, and that every act of love resonates far beyond what we see. I saw how their spinning affected the material world. Their eyes weren't watching passively. They were scanning intentions, responding to heartbeats, recalibrating time itself in response to the cries of people like you and me. Then, from the space beyond them, another group approached, the cherubim. These weren't the chubby angels from Renaissance paintings. These were beings of authority, intensity, and raw beauty. They had multiple faces, lion, ox, eagle, human, and wings that shimmered through dimensions. Each face carried an energy. The lion was courage, the ox was endurance, the eagle, vision, the human, compassion. They didn't simply observe creation, they embodied it. The sound of their wings vibrated through me like thunder made of light. Where they moved, reality responded. I saw that they were not just guards of heaven, they were builders of divine order. I couldn't help but fall to my knees, not from fear, but reverence. That was when I saw him. A throne emerged, not placed but revealed, as though it had always been there and I simply hadn't been ready to see it. The one who sat upon it radiated such majesty that every molecule in me trembled. I didn't need to ask who he was. I knew. Jesus. His eyes found mine and time froze. But instead of feeling shame or unworthiness, I felt seen in the most complete way I have ever known. He saw everything. My failures, my pain, my selfishness, my love. And yet his gaze was not condemnation. It was healing. His presence alone dismantled every lie I'd believed about myself. And then he spoke, not with a voice, but directly into my essence. Elizabeth, you are here to see what few ever do. Do not be afraid. With that, he extended his hand, not physically but spiritually. I was lifted, not upward, but inward. He began to show me things, realities layered beneath the surface of everything we take for granted. I saw angels moving across the earth like a divine network, not floating aimlessly but operating with purpose. They were assigned, strategic, coordinated. Some were whispering in the ears of leaders, others guarded children sleeping in danger. Some stood watch over hospital rooms. Their presence wasn't rare, it was constant. Most of us never notice. But I saw how they influenced events, stopped disasters, even delayed death. And at the center of it all was a rhythm, divine, orderly, intentional. Then I saw something that broke me. My own guardian. He had been with me all along. Every moment I thought I was alone, he had been there. Every close call, every quiet nudge, every moment of unexplainable peace. He had orchestrated it under divine guidance. I saw flashes of my childhood, teenage years, adulthood, all the times I had nearly fallen, but didn't. He had carried me, often at great cost to himself, not because I earned it, but because it was his mission. I wept, not from guilt, but gratitude. How many times had I walked blindly past the divine because I was too busy, too hardened, too distracted? Jesus whispered, "You have never been alone, not for 1 second." Then he changed the vision again. This time, I was shown something that stunned me beyond comprehension. I saw what happens when people pray, not metaphorically, literally. I saw prayers rising like beams of light from every corner of the earth. Some were faint, fragile, whispered in desperation. Others were strong, bold, erupting with power. But each one was real. Each one had a frequency. As the prayers ascended, angels gathered them like sacred assignments. Some were immediately dispatched to intervene, to comfort, to protect. Others were stored, waiting for alignment with divine timing. And then he showed me something heartbreaking. Prayers that faded not because they weren't heard, but because the person gave up before the answer arrived. He turned to me and said, "Faith activates the rhythm. Persistence aligns it." That sentence seared into my soul. I saw how the spiritual realm bends in response to tenacity. It isn't begging, it's consistency. He wanted me to know that no cry goes unheard, but we often stop pressing just before the breakthrough. I saw how heaven responds to even the smallest whisper when it comes from a place of trust. I watched as a single word, help, from a teenage boy in a war zone, triggered a response from legions of angels. Not all prayer is answered the way we expect, but none of it is wasted. It is woven into the tapestry of eternity. He told me, "Tell them, remind them to never stop praying." Then I was led to something that felt like the edge of the universe. It wasn't dark, it was infinite. A realm where all possibilities lived at once. It was overwhelming. Every choice I had ever made stood before me, not in judgment, but in clarity. I saw the ripple effect of my smallest decisions. I saw how a moment of kindness I had long forgotten had led someone out of despair. I also saw the consequences of my silence when I should have spoken. But more than anything, I saw grace woven through it all. I saw how angels had rerouted my path, nudged my direction, even blocked destruction, because I mattered. And then he said something I'll never forget. They all matter. No one is random. Every life is seen. I began to cry. Not out of fear, but humility. I had underestimated what heaven sees, what they value, what they fight for. The image of those angels around my wrecked car flashed before me again, this time from a divine vantage point. I saw them absorbing the force of the impact, redirecting death, preserving what little breath I had left. In the operating room, I saw others guiding the surgeon's hands, shielding my soul from spiritual darkness trying to enter. None of it had been luck. It had been a coordinated divine intervention. And yet I had almost missed it. I had almost spent the rest of my life thinking it was just good medical care. But now I knew better. I looked at Jesus again, and he looked at me with that same piercing, endless love. Then he said something that changed everything. "You must return." My heart dropped. I didn't want to. Here, there was only light, clarity, peace. Earth felt so heavy, so confusing in comparison. But then I remembered, my children, my patience, my calling. I knew it wasn't over. This wasn't the end of my story, it was the beginning of a mission. He didn't beg me, he didn't command me. He simply touched my soul with the weight of truth, and I agreed. I would return, I would speak, I would bear witness. And as I said yes, he smiled. Not with lips, but with glory. The moment I agreed, I felt the pull, a rushing, a folding inward. It wasn't frightening, it was focused. As I returned to my body, I felt pain, heaviness, density. The machinery of the ICU beeped around me, tubes, wires, blinking lights. But I was alive. 3 days had passed. The doctors called it a miracle. They said I shouldn't be awake, much less coherent. But I knew what had happened. It wasn't science that brought me back. It was mercy. It was divine will. I had been sent back for this, to tell you, To tell everyone willing to listen that angels are real, that heaven is active, and that Jesus is not a myth. He is alive and closer than your breath. So here I am, speaking not as a mystic, not as a theologian, but as a witness. If you've ever doubted your worth, hear me. Heaven has invested more into you than you can imagine. If you've ever questioned whether your cries matter, let me be the voice that says, they do. If you've ever wondered if your story matters, know this, it does. And maybe you're hearing this not by accident, but because heaven is drawing you near right now. Maybe this is your call to wake up, to return, to remember. Don't brush this off. Don't let the distractions of life bury the truth of what I'm telling you. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to remember who you really are. Now that you've heard my story, the only question left is, what will you do with it? I didn't come back from the edge of eternity to entertain or inspire. I came back to awaken. This message is not just mine, it's yours. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to remember that you are seen, you are protected, and you are deeply, relentlessly loved. Don't wait for another near-death experience to believe in the reality of heaven. Don't wait for another crisis to discover that angels are with you. The kingdom of God is not far. It's here, it's now, and He is calling you. If something inside of you stirred, don't ignore it. If you felt the weight of emptiness, the silence of unanswered questions, the ache of being unseen, this is your answer. The veil is thinner than you think. The war for your soul is more real than the news headlines you scroll through. And Jesus isn't asking you for perfection. He's offering relationship. He's offering light in your darkest place. Open your mouth. Speak to Him. It's that simple. Jesus, show me who you are. That's how it starts. Don't delay. This is your moment. And if you felt something shift inside you, I invite you, no, I urge you, to take the next step. Subscribe to this channel not because I need numbers, but because you need reminders. You need to stay connected to truth, to testimony, to messages that pull you back when the world pulls you under. Follow Jesus, not a religion, a person, a Savior who sees you, who walked the road before you, and who still speaks today. Choose light. Choose life. Say yes to the one who knows your name and still loves you. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, and you're not walking it alone. There are angels assigned to you. There is purpose waiting to be activated. There is healing available, deep soul-level healing that no medication can reach. But you have to move. You have to say yes. You have to make the choice that only you can make. You were never meant to drift through life numb, confused, or hopeless. You were created to burn with purpose, and heaven is still fighting for that spark inside you. Before you click away, remember this. No pain is wasted. No prayer is ignored. No person is forgotten. You matter more than you know. And I am so honored that you stayed to hear my heart. I don't take that for granted. You're not just a viewer. You're part of a family now. A community of seekers, of believers, of people hungry for what is real. So let's stay connected. Let's walk this road together. Let's build something eternal out of our broken pieces. I'll keep showing up with stories like this. I'll keep pointing to the light, and I hope you'll be there too. So if this message spoke to you, share it. Don't keep it to yourself. Send it to someone who's been crying in silence, someone who's been questioning their faith, someone who needs to know they're not alone. You could be the reason someone decides to hold on a little longer. You could be the voice heaven uses to reach a soul on the edge. Be bold, be light. You're part of something bigger now. Let's make it matter. Until next time, stay close to Jesus. Speak to Him daily. Watch for the unseen. You're not walking through this world unnoticed. You are covered. You are guided. You are loved. And from the depths of my heart, thank you for listening. Thank you for believing. And thank you for being a part of this journey. I'll be here. Keep watching. Keep praying. Keep your heart open to heaven. We're just getting started.